A federal banking regulation connected to a particular dollar figure has just been finalized. And if you receive Social Security, a pension, or any type of government benefit, this modification is already underway and it applies directly to you starting right now. My name is Ivy and you are watching the U.S. Guide. What we are examining today is precisely what this regulation does, who it covers, and the actions you need to take so your money stays protected and fully accessible every single month. Stay with me through the entire video because the details that come up in the second half are the ones most people skip over, and skipping them could genuinely cost you. Let us start from the beginning. Federal regulators have finalized a new banking compliance framework, and at the center of it is a $250 threshold that banks and financial institutions across the country are now required to apply under specific conditions. Before anything else, let me be completely direct with you. This is not a reduction in your benefits. It is not a new charge being added to your account. It is not a limitation on how you choose to spend your own money. What it actually is a significantly upgraded layer of financial protection built specifically to shield the accounts of everyday Americans and seniors in particular from a surge of fraudulent activity that has been targeting retirement income with alarming precision. Here is the reason this regulation exists right now. Financial criminals have become extraordinarily calculated in how they go after older adults. They know the exact dates when Social Security deposits hit accounts. They know when pension distributions arrive. They time their attacks to launch within hours of those funds landing. And by the time most people realize what happened, the money has already moved and recovering it becomes an uphill battle. Regulators studied this pattern and responded with a structural update designed to cut those attacks off before the damage is done. The $250 monitoring threshold is one of the primary tools now embedded in that response. So, what does this regulation actually require banks to do? Financial institutions are now obligated to apply enhanced monitoring procedures to certain transactions that meet or exceed $250 under defined circumstances. Think of it not as a wall, but as a motion-sensitive system that activates when something unfamiliar walks into frame. Your everyday purchases, your monthly bill payments, your utility transfers, your rent contributions, your pharmacy charges, all of that continues without any disruption. The monitoring layer is not watching for normal behavior. It is built to detect patterns that sit outside your established account history. Here's a concrete example of how that works. If your account has maintained a steady rhythm for months or years, consistent deposits arriving on schedule, consistent bills going out in predictable amounts, the bank system builds a recognition of that routine. It becomes your financial fingerprint. Now, picture someone gaining unauthorized access to your account shortly after your Social Security deposit lands. They attempt to push several rapid transfers to accounts that have never appeared in your history in amounts hovering at or above $250. That is the precise kind of activity this regulation was engineered to intercept before those funds leave your account permanently. You may be wondering whether this will create complications in your daily financial life. For the overwhelming majority of seniors living on fixed income, the answer is no. Consistent spending habits, regular bill cycles, and routine withdrawals do not activate the enhanced review process. The system is calibrated to flag outliers, not ordinary patterns. Seniors who maintain predictable account activity are statistically the least likely to experience any kind of interruption at all. Now, let us talk specifically about Social Security because this is the benefit most directly connected to what we are discussing today. Retirement benefits, disability payments, SSI, and SSDI are all still processed on the exact same federal deposit calendar they have always followed. If your distribution arrives on the second Wednesday of the month, that does not change. If yours arrives on the first, that does not change either. The $250 regulation does not touch payment amounts. It does not alter eligibility. It does not shift deposit dates. What it does is establish an additional security layer over your account once those funds land, making the window immediately following deposit significantly safer than it was before. The same applies to pension income, whether that comes from a private employer plan, a public sector retirement system, or a federal program like railroad retirement. Cost of living adjustments remain calculated by federal formula and continue to flow through exactly as determined. This regulation operates in the background as a safeguard, not an obstacle. Let us take a moment to look at why older adults have become such a concentrated target for financial exploitation in recent years. The numbers are genuinely alarming. Reports of financial exploitation against adults over 60 have climbed sharply as banking has shifted further into digital environments. Criminals use phone calls, text messages, deceptive government letters, and psychological pressure to push older adults into making rushed payments. They manufacture urgency. They invent deadlines. They pose as Social Security Administration officials, Medicare representatives, or even family members pretending to be in crisis. The common thread running through almost every scheme is speed. Fraudsters need the money moved before the victim has time to pause, think, or reach out to someone they trust. The $250 monitoring threshold disrupts that speed by introducing a checkpoint in situations where rapid and unusual transfers are detected. That brief interruption is often all it takes to stop a scheme from succeeding. For a senior living on a fixed monthly income where $250 represents a meaningful portion of the budget, that pause can be the difference between a narrow escape and a devastating financial loss. Federal regulators have been explicit that this update is part of a broader modernization of consumer financial protections across the country. As digital banking continues to expand, the tools used to defend account holders must keep pace. Banks are no longer simply physical locations where tellers count cash. They are massive digital systems processing millions of transactions every day. Automated monitoring allows those systems to apply consistent oversight at a scale that no manual review process could match. This raises an important practical question. What actually happens if one of your legitimate transactions is flagged? First, stay calm. It is uncommon for people with consistent account behavior, but it can occasionally occur. When it does, your bank is now required under the updated framework to notify you promptly and transparently. You may receive a phone call, a text alert, or a message through your online banking platform asking you to confirm the transaction. Verify your identity through the bank's secure channel and confirm that the transaction was yours. In most cases, the review wraps up quickly and your funds remain fully intact throughout the entire process. It is important to understand that a review is not an accusation. It is not the bank suggesting you did something wrong. It is a protective checkpoint that works in your favor. Responding with calm cooperation ensures the fastest resolution. And if you ever receive a call or message claiming to be from your bank and something feels off, hang up immediately and dial the number printed on the back of your debit card. Never give out personal information in response to a contact you did not personally initiate. Now, let us talk about seniors who prefer in-person banking over digital platforms. If you do your banking at a physical branch, your experience at that branch does not change. You walk in, speak with a representative, make your deposits, handle your withdrawals, and ask your questions exactly as you always have. The monitoring systems behind this regulation run entirely within the bank's internal infrastructure. You will not be asked to sign new documents, complete a fresh enrollment, or take any extra steps at the counter simply because this regulation has taken effect. The changes are structural on the institution's end, not procedural for you as a customer. For those who use online banking or mobile apps, which a growing number of retirees now do for the convenience it offers, this regulation works alongside the security features already built into those platforms. Two-factor authentication, real-time deposit alerts, and activity notifications remain exactly in place. The $250 monitoring threshold adds a complementary defense layer on top of those existing tools. Together, they create a more complete protection system that guards your retirement income from multiple angles at the same time. Here is something that deserves careful attention. This regulation also has implications for joint accounts and accounts where a caregiver or family member has authorized access. Joint accounts between spouses who regularly make transactions together will generally show a broader but still recognizable activity pattern. As long as that shared activity is consistent, meaning similar types of transfers going to familiar recipients at predictable intervals, the monitoring system reads it as established normal behavior. Where a review is more likely to be triggered is when a newly authorized user begins initiating different types of transfers to unfamiliar recipients in rapid succession. If you have recently added someone to your account, or if your banking patterns have legitimately shifted for any reason, it may be worth visiting your branch and having a brief conversation with a representative. Let them know about the change in context so your account history is accurately understood. That small conversation can prevent unnecessary confusion down the road. This is also a good moment to think about communication within your household or family. Retirement finances are not always discussed openly between spouses, adult children, and aging parents, but transparency about regular expenses and authorized transactions creates a clearer record of what normal looks like in your account. That clarity helps bank systems distinguish between your legitimate activity and any unauthorized intrusion. It also protects caregivers and family members who help manage finances from confusion if a routine transaction is ever flagged for verification. Think about what proactive protection genuinely means in practical terms for a senior on a fixed income. Someone receiving $1,400 a month from Social Security is operating within a precisely structured budget. Rent, utilities, prescriptions, groceries, and perhaps a small contribution towards something for a grandchild. Every dollar has a place. An unauthorized withdrawal of $300 in that context is not a minor inconvenience. It is a month thrown into chaos. It is a prescription delayed. It is a utility bill paid late and a late fee added on top of that. The emotional impact of discovering that kind of theft compounds the financial damage. Prevention at the moment of the transaction is worth far more than attempting to recover money after the fact. Recovery processes are slow, legally complicated, and rarely result in full reimbursement. The philosophy behind this regulatory update is to stop the theft at the source rather than chase it afterward. The $250 threshold gives banks a defined activation point for that real-time response, and that is a fundamentally different and better approach. Some viewers have reached out to ask whether this regulation is connected to any upcoming one-time federal payments or economic relief distributions. Here is a straight answer. If federal authorities authorize any form of supplemental economic assistance, those funds would be deposited through the same Treasury infrastructure used for regular benefits. The monitoring regulation does not block those deposits, does not delay them, and does not reduce their amounts. What it ensures is that once those additional funds arrive in your account, the same enhanced security that protects your regular monthly income also protects them. If anything, larger one-time deposits benefit most from this kind of oversight because their arrival creates a higher value window that exploitative attempts tend to target specifically. It is worth addressing a concern that comes up regularly when banking regulations are discussed in the context of older adults. That concern is the worry that regulations like this one are designed to restrict rather than protect. That concern is understandable. Seniors have sometimes been treated as secondary considerations in financial policy decisions, and that history creates legitimate skepticism, but the framing of this particular update is genuinely different. The explicit stated intent in the regulatory language is consumer protection with direct emphasis on vulnerable populations. Seniors are not the ones this regulation is aimed at stopping. The target is exploitative and criminal activity, and the tools being deployed are calibrated to interrupt that, not to limit the account holders being served. As you continue watching, consider how everything we have covered applies directly to your own situation. Whether you receive one federal benefit or several, whether you bank in person or online, whether your account is individual or shared, the core principles remain consistent. Your income is stable. Your benefits are protected. Your right to access and use your own money is fully intact. What has changed is that the financial system watching over your account has just become substantially more capable of defending it. Here is a practical step worth taking after you finish watching this video. Log into your online banking account or call your bank and review your current alert settings. Most institutions allow you to configure real-time notifications for deposits, withdrawals, and transfers above a threshold you set yourself. Activating those alerts puts you in a position of immediate awareness. You will know the moment any transaction occurs in your account, which means you will also know right away if something unfamiliar appears. Pair that personal awareness with the bank's own enhanced monitoring system, and you have built a genuinely strong defensive setup without needing any technical background at all. A second useful step is to confirm your bank has current and accurate contact information on file. Your phone number, your email address, and your mailing address should all reflect where you actually are right now. Since banks are now required to notify you promptly when a transaction review is initiated, having correct contact details ensures those notifications reach you without delay. An outdated phone number could mean a security alert sits unacknowledged for hours. When timing matters, that gap is the last thing you want. A third step worth taking is to keep a simple, written record of your regular monthly expenses. Nothing elaborate, just a basic list of the bills you pay, the amounts, and the approximate dates. If a transaction is ever flagged and you need to confirm it was authorized, having that reference on hand makes the conversation with your bank faster and less stressful. It also gives you a reliable way to spot anything unusual when you review your account statement each month. These are small habits, but they carry real weight in protecting your financial security over time. Now, let us bring everything together and focus on what matters most for your peace of mind going forward. Retirement is supposed to be a time of stability and earned rest. You spent decades working, contributing to programs like Social Security, and making financial decisions with your future in mind. You depend on that income now, and you deserve to receive it without interference. You also deserve a banking environment that actively works to defend what is yours. The $250 regulation is one concrete expression of that protection being put into practice. Financial modernization can feel disorienting when it arrives wrapped in regulatory language. But when you strip it down to its core function, this update is about one thing and one thing only: protecting the money you depend on from people who are actively trying to take it. The method is sophisticated, but the purpose is straightforward. Knowing that your bank now has sharper and more responsive tools to carry out that purpose should bring you reassurance rather than concern. If this video gave you clarity on something that felt confusing or uncertain before, take a moment right now to hit the like button. It helps more people find this information when they need it most. And if you know someone in your life, a neighbor, a sibling, a parent, a friend who receives government benefits and could use this kind of clear, honest breakdown, share this video with them today. Here on the US Guide, everything we do is built around making sure you have accurate, straightforward answers to every financial update that touches your retirement. We are not here to create alarm. We are here to give you the information that keeps your income steady, your account secure, and your confidence grounded. No matter what regulations emerge in the months and years ahead, the financial landscape will keep evolving. New regulations will continue to surface as digital systems grow more complex and as fraudsters find new methods. But the foundation of your retirement security does not waver. Social Security remains intact. Your pension remains intact. Your legal right to manage your own finances is fully preserved. What has shifted is that the protection surrounding those funds has just taken a significant step forward, and that is information worth sitting with, sharing, and feeling genuinely good about. Stay informed, keep your banking habits consistent, make sure your institution has your updated contact details, and carry forward the knowledge that the oversight now being applied to your account exists entirely for your benefit. That is the complete picture on the $250 regulation. It is protection, not restriction. It is progress, not penalty. And you deserve both the clarity to understand it and the confidence to move forward knowing exactly where you